Hi students, today we are going to see the triangles in the neck. Posterior triangle already over, so we are going to concentrate in the anterior triangle. First orientation, this is the head, this is the scalp, and this is the mouth, oral cavity, and here if you come, this is the menti, and here is the triangle. So first you see this is the digastric triangle, this is the submental triangle, this is the symphysis menti, and symphysis menti is a part of the mandible, what you call as chin in local colloquial language. And here is the anterior belly of digastric. Both the sides you can see the anterior belly of digastric, and in the middle you can see the muscle called mylohyoid. What is the name of the muscle in the middle? It is mylohyoid. You can see the mylohyoid very well clearly here in this part. If I reflect this anterior belly of digastric, you can see this muscle. This is mylohyoid. So the triangle here between the two bellies of anterior belly of digastric is submental triangle. Boundaries apex is formed by the symphysis menti and both the sides by the anterior belly of digastric, and the base is formed by the hyoid bone. So this is submental triangle, and the content is, you can see the floor is mylohyoid muscle. The mylohyoid muscle is called as oral diaphragm because it forms the floor of the oral cavity, so it is called as oral diaphragm. The nerve supply to mylohyoid is nerve to mylohyoid. It's a very tiny nerve. It supplies the mylohyoid as well as the anterior belly of digastric. You can see that it supplies the mylohyoid as well as it goes and supplies the anterior belly of digastric. So this is a very important question. And nerve to mylohyoid is a branch of inferior alveolar nerves. This is the mandible. Inside that, this is the lower part of the mandible. So alveoli, inferior alveoli. So the nerve comes over here is called inferior alveolar. So this nerve to mylohyoid is a branch of inferior alveolar, and it supplies mylohyoid as well as anterior belly of digastric. Now this is the fossa in the mandible. Okay, this is digastric. This area is called digastric fossa in the mandible. I will show you digastric fossa. From here only that anterior belly of digastric comes, and here you can see the white color, that is called as intermediate tendon. And this one here, what you are seeing is posterior belly of digastric. So posterior belly of digastric is here, anterior belly of digastric is here. So we are going towards the next triangle, and this is the digastric triangle. This is called digastric triangle or submandibular triangle. So here antero-inferiorly it is formed by, you can see antero-inferiorly it is formed by, and here you should see the structures present here. This is the mandible, this is the bone called mandible, this is the bone called mandible. Here is the turn, and here you can see this, hold like this. Okay, here you can see these two areas. This is called as digastric fossa. So from here only anterior belly of digastric comes, and here is the line called mylohyoid line. Can you see this line? This is called mylohyoid line. Both the sides you have the mylohyoid line. From here only your mylohyoid muscle takes its origin and getting inserted into this hyoid bone. So mylohyoid comes over here and getting inserted into the hyoid bone, mylohyoid. So it comes over here, and you have the median raphe in the middle. So anterior fibers and middle fibers goes towards the median raphe. Median raphe is in the middle because here also you will be having mylohyoid, here also you will be having mylohyoid. So both the fibers they join in the midline in median raphe, and the posterior fibers of mylohyoid only it is attached to the hyoid bone, front of the body of the hyoid bone. Right, this is about the mylohyoid. Mylohyoid nerve supply already we discussed, and here we will move on to the digastric triangle. Anterior belly of digastric antero-inferiorly and posterior belly of digastric postero-inferiorly, and the base the mandible is here. So inferior border of the mandible or the base of the mandible is here, and the apex is formed by the digastric intermediate tendon of digastric, and the roof is formed by the skin, superficial fascia with platysma. You can see the nice platysma over here. So platysma, and then if you reflect this you can see the deep fascia, and then the floor is formed by floor. How will you define the floor? Floor, here you will be having the mylohyoid muscle here, and then if you see here this area, if I reflect you can see one muscle deep inside, you can see, no? That is this one. Okay, this muscle is called hyoglossus. So this is mylohyoid and this is hyoglossus, and here you have the middle constrictor muscle. So these three muscles they form, the middle constrictor will go up to this area. So middle constrictor, all these three muscles together they form the floor. At least you should write mylohyoid. You can see mylohyoid, right? This is a mylohyoid muscle. mylohyoid, and this is hyoglossus. These two you should write. So anterior belly nerve supply, you know. Posterior belly nerve supply is facial nerve, posterior orbital branch of facial nerve, posterior belly, and then inside you will be having a muscle called stylohyoid. You should not forget to talk about stylohyoid. You can see the white fibers here. This is the stylohyoid is inserted into the hyoid bone. It is coming from the styloid process. So, a very important muscle which is lying along with the posterior belly of digastric is stylohyoid. So, stylohyoid and posterior belly of digastric posteriorly. Floor also you know, roof you know. Now, we will see the content number 1. Content number 1 is submandibular salivary gland. Submandibular salivary gland. Number 2 is you can see the vessels and nerves. These are all called submental vessels and nerves. Submental vessels and nerves which are going from here. Can you see this vessels and nerves and mylohyoid nerves and vessels, everything is going from here to here. So, this is about the contents of the submandibular triangle or digastric triangle. Number 3 will come down to the carotid triangle. Carotid triangle, this area is the carotid triangle. You can see no clearly, and this area is the triangle 1, 2 and 3. This is the digastric, and here 1, 2, 3 this submental, and here carotid. Sternocleidomastoid is here, superior belly of omohyoid is here, and then here you will be having the intermediate tendon and posterior belly of digastric. This triangle is called as carotid triangle. The contents of the roof of the carotid triangle, you will be having carotid sheath, something called as carotid sheath. On the carotid sheath you have a very important structure called ansa cervicalis. This is a thin nerve plexus. Can you see this? See, this is called ansa cervicalis. This is formed by, you can see the hypoglossal nerve crossing this triangle. Can you see this? This is a hypoglossal nerve. How to identify this as hypoglossal nerve? This nerve loops around the lingual artery. So, lingual artery is going from here. So, this nerve loops around the lingual artery. This is a very important MCQ. And then here you will be having, the ansa cervicalis. Ansa cervicalis is a loop formed by the descendens hypoglossal. This is the hypoglossal nerve. From here the fibers are coming, and this is called as descendens hypoglossal. And here already you know cervical plexus is formed in the posterior border of the sternocleidomastoid. From here few fibers will be coming, that is called as cervical plexus, that is C2 and C3. They join together and forms the ansa cervicalis, that is a chain. This chain, they supply all the infrahyoid group of muscles. Infrahyoid means below the hyoid. Superior belly of omohyoid, inferior belly of omohyoid, sternohyoid, sternothyroid, all this group of muscles are supplied by the ansa. Except the superior belly of omohyoid, this is coming straight from the C1 fibers. It takes a direct branch from the C1. Superior belly of omohyoid and thyrohyoid, geniohyoid also, they take its nerve supply from the C1 fibers. Thyrohyoid and geniohyoid. Thyrohyoid means this is thyroid. Thyroid to hyoid, that is called thyrohyoid, and the other one is called geniohyoid. From the hyoid to, it is going to from the genial tubercle. This is called the genial tubercle. Inside that you can see two tubercles present inside, that is called as genial tubercles. This is called as genial tubercle. From this lower genial tubercle only you will be having the geniohyoid. So, geniohyoid and thyrohyoid, they take its nerve supply from the C1 fibers, and the superior belly, inferior belly and other things are taking its nerve supply from the ansa cervicalis. It's a very important MCQ. And here this ansa cervicalis is present on the roof of the carotid sheath. Carotid sheath is nothing but a part of the deep cervical fascia, and this forms the roof. And you can see the contents of the sheath. Number 1, it is the internal jugular vein. Number 2, can you see inside? This is the vagus. So, if you reflect the internal jugular vein, you can see the vagus nerve, and then inside that you will be having the carotid artery. So, 3 structures: jugular vein, vagus nerve, and then carotid artery. These 3 structures, they form the relations. What is deep beneath that? You have one more structure. We will reflect this internal jugular vein and see posteriorly. This is your vagus. Posteriorly you have a chain called sympathetic chain. You can see clearly. This one is called as sympathetic chain. You can see the bulge of the ganglion. Okay, so this is sympathetic chain. So anteriorly you have the Ansa cervicalis, the loop formed by the descendants hypoglossal and C2 C3 cervical plexus, and posteriorly you have the sympathetic chain, and the contents are internal jugular vein and the vagus nerve and the carotid artery. These three are the contents of carotid triangle. That's all about the carotid triangle. So carotid triangle MCQ, ansa cervicalis supplies all the infrahyoid muscles, and then superior belly of omohyoid is supplied from the superior root of ansa cervicalis, and then anterior belly is supplied by nerve to mylohyoid, and posterior belly is supplied by facial nerve, and then next this is the nerve called hypoglossal nerve. You can see here, this is a hypoglossal nerve, winds around or hooks around the artery called as lingual artery. So it hooks around the artery called as lingual artery. So you can see this hypoglossal nerve. This is the artery called lingual artery. So it hooks around the lingual artery. Very important relations. And the digastric triangle, this is the vein called facial vein, and below that you have the facial artery which grooves. Can you see? This is the facial artery grooves the submandibular salivary gland. So these two relations are very important. Thank you.